What's going on, guys? Julian with Heritage in Motion. Welcome back to another episode. So today it's going to be another really good one. Obviously, we don't want to keep these too long, but sometimes if it's good conversations, they might drag on for a little bit. But for this specific episode, we have another really good guest, and he's a good friend of mine, Jesse with Riverside Mobile Tire. So just a quick background on what this episode is about. It's going to be talking about Jesse, his journey into business as a mobile tire shop, what he did before, just some of the raw things that happened to him and experiences that he's picked up along the way, how he keeps an operation like us rolling with these roadside repairs at the landfill, on the side of the road, here at the yard, and obviously does wonders for us here. But just everything else about business in general. So, yeah, other than that, appreciate you being here, Jesse.
Cool. My name is Jesse, and I'm from Riverside Mobile Tire Shop. I own the business. I've been in business for 3 years, and we service all of Riverside County pretty much. We do residential, we do semi trucks, we do backhoes, we do farm equipment, we'll do tractors and lawnmowers and ATVs, anything that has to do with tires. We got you covered in Riverside.
Well, let's go back to how we met. Let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah, shoot. So it's been about what, like at least probably 5 years, I think.
It's been a little while, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while, about 5, 6 years, and we met at Tire Pros. I met you at Bud's Tires, and we had a mutual friend, and that's back then. You had it was just your side business. It was one of your small roll off trailers, right?
It was
The Ford.
Max D trailer. We had two of them at that time
Yeah,
with problems every week, it seemed
yeah,
like.
electrical problems, brakes, and stuff like that. But no, I think I leveled your truck. I think at first.
You did.
Yeah,
Can't remember which one. It was either the F-250
the
or...
F-250.
Yeah.
And then you brought me your Ram. I think it's the one
That
you
one
have
right
now.
there, the 2500.
Yep. That's how we started. And
So it went from there to... no, it was Bud's Tires.
Bud's Tires.
Bud's Tires.
Yep.
And then... so what happened to Bud's then?
Bud sold out.
Bud sold
Yeah,
out?
he sold the company, and they turned corporate. And I worked for a corporate before, and I said I would never go back and do it again. So we were always busy. I mean, that parking lot was always busy. And you would drive in there at 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, you couldn't find parking.
Yeah, no, I hated it.
Yeah, especially driving a trailer and RV. So, I dealt with a lot of different type of clients there, and believe it or not, my highest clientele, as far as gender, was women, a lot of moms, and with them was like they're always so in a rush to go pick up their kids. So I need my car done by 1 p.m. because my kid gets out at 2
Yeah.
or something like that. And we always had to hurry up and rush and get those cars done. And there was one time when this guy brought in an RV. I met him at 6:30 in the morning because it was like a 40-something foot RV. And
It's taking up the whole lot right there.
taking
Well,
up
at
the
least
whole-
one side of it.
yeah. So I told him, let me move cars out of the way, and I'll open up the gates for you. And when he showed up, it was huge. He had a pickup truck connected to the RV.
Yeah.
So I opened up the gates for him. He had to unhook his pickup truck and then park the RV. I was like, oh, he showed up a little late. He was like, everything all right? He was like, no. Like, he showed up like 45 minutes late. So
To a 6:30
Yeah.
appointment, yeah.
yeah, so he showed up like at 7:20, and cars were already starting to show up.
Well, then you're right by the high school, too. You got all that traffic.
The high school traffic. Yeah. So I told him it's all right. We're able to move cars out of the way or whatever. But so the problem with him was he had showed up to his RV site. So once he was there, his tire was flat. So he had a portable compressor, the one you hook up to your cigarette lighter.
Yeah.
In his personal truck, it was a Tundra. So when he hooked it up, it took him 30 minutes to air up the tire. When he aired it up, he had to hook up his truck.
Yeah.
He hooked
Right.
up the truck that came to us.
Makes sense.
Then he came to us. He had to unhook his truck and then park it.
That seems like a cluster. Quite
Dude,
the
I was like,
cluster
man, that's a lot of
mess.
work for a flat tire.
But I think while we're talking about like this, you always made accommodations for people, which I think the level of service that you provided, and not just you, but like your management team and all the service folks you had there, made the difference of why Bud's Tire was like the go-to
Yeah.
location, whether it was here in Moreno Valley or Riverside. Which now let's get into how you transitioned from working for Buds, how you transitioned from going corporate to the business. At what point were you like, I'm gonna start something. I'm gonna start a business. I'm gonna just leave the corporate side and focus on that.
That actually started right after he sold. Um, I was so unhappy working for the corporation that I kind of rushed into leaving the corporate store. So my mentality was I need to buy a shop. So I started looking into shops. I had money saved up, for whatever. I kind of wanted to do something for myself for a long time, but everything was $3 to $5 million. It's like I can't afford that. So I was talking to a guy and he was willing to work with me, put a down payment down and take over the shop, but he was just taking too long.
I think that's the guy that we talked about here in Moreno Valley, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a local tire shop. But he was so indecisive, I couldn't wait for him. So I started looking for different options and I was on a bunch of like business websites. I forgot what they were, but a mobile van came up. I'm all, the hell's a mobile van? And I started kind of looking into it. It's like, oh, it's a mobile tire shop.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And I called the realtor and he said, oh no, they sold that van already. It was about 125 grand for the van. But I guess he gave the information to a the franchisee that leased that van. So he ended up calling me. We had a really long conversation. I think we talked for like an hour and a half. And I was like, man, this is pretty cool because it's different. And when we started talking and he kind of convinced me into joining the franchise. And
And
when
what franchise was that?
that was Go Mobile Tire.
Go Mobile Tire.
Go
Okay.
Mobile Tire.
So
Yeah.
that's how the business started then from
Yeah.
Go Mobile Tire.
From Go Mobile Tire.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I joined the franchise and it didn't work out and nothing, no hard feelings against them, but the way I wanted to grow my business, they weren't there to help me.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about how, like, what were the expectations when you signed up with the Go Mobile? Um, just quickly, was there franchise fees or how much did you have to put down? And then,
Part
like,
of it
what? Yeah,
was part of it was the money part. So, for me to get get into my van to get started, I had to pay about 175,000 to get started. Plus, they're collecting their franchise fees, which I was fine with, But when we had a conversation, I had told him like I'm big in Riverside, like I have a lot of clientele, so I needed help with getting fleet accounts, and they deal with Amazon. They dealt with FedEx, U-Haul, and a bunch of companies. So I was like, okay, that's great. It's like that'll keep me going. Just in case my regular
yeah.
clientele won't call me. But going into it, um, I think it took about 6 months to get one call from the website that they had built. And luckily, like I had such a big following that I was able to keep afloat for the first 6 months. But then the holidays came, and I had no work.
I remember that, and we talked about it a
Yeah,
lot. We
yeah,
talked about, I mean, and then we talked about the build quality.
yeah.
Like the concept was really good. Obviously, it was expensive. I thought it was expensive. The concept was really great, but they put a lot of Harbor Freight parts in there,
Yep.
which I said, for the money you were spending,
Yeah.
I was kind of disappointed that they put everything was Harbor Freight inside.
Well, when I first got into that truck, I opened the door. It smells like Harbor Freight in here. It smelled like Harbor Freight
With the coupon inside too.
with the coupon in there. Yeah. No, and I mean, it was a good starting point, and I'm okay with it. I mean, you make mistakes in life, and you just fix them. So we took their concept of what they think is good, and then we made it better.
Yeah.
And because the way we work is a lot different than what I think their expectations are. It's like their regular vans or Sprinter vans. So it's like when I look at that van, it's like you can't fit a lot of tires. Like for us, like our good tire day, we do about 30 to 40 tires a day. That's a lot of rubber.
Yeah.
You imagine fitting 30, 40 tires in a Sprinter van with the oversized machine, and it just can't work.
You're gonna have to carry a trailer with you.
How to carry a trailer.
Yeah.
But I think I don't know. It's weird because I think they're only going after like Amazon accounts, and I think they dispose of their old tires. Like with us, we offer disposal where we take the tires away
Yeah.
from their home. And I can't picture us carrying 30 tires around all day, which we do, because every time we show up to a job site, we have to unload all the old
Yeah,
tires
in order to get to all your tools.
to get to get to our machines. So we kind of outgrew that company, and that's the reason why we ended up leaving them, was because of that.
Well,
It's
that
like,
and the fact that they weren't producing the leads that
yeah,
they said they were gonna give you, which
yeah,
if you're paying into it and you're not getting work from it, there's a problem.
there's a problem.
Which, on the bright side, it allowed you to breach that contract without penalty, and you got something back, right? Isn't that kind of how it worked out?
Yeah, yeah. So I reminded them of our like conversation, and they agreed. It was a peaceful separation. Because they knew what I wanted, and they knew what I was capable of, and they knew the type of store that I ran. So I was more of a high volume clientele, but they weren't able to deliver, and we got out of it. And
I think that was a win-win. It allowed you to test the waters, realize what worked out,
yeah,
and then you were kind of able to get out of it. Rebrand everything, Riverside Mobile Tire,
yes,
and which looks 10 times better than the Go Mobile.
yeah, yeah,
And now it's like that's like a staple in Riverside.
yeah.
You do a lot for the community. You do a lot of charity events. You do a lot of good stuff. So your name's out there, and then obviously your online presence is really good. So that's huge. So now when we go back to Buds, is that kind of how you got a lot of your clientele for the Go Mobile side or for Riverside Mobile Tire, or like how'd you start picking up all these clients? I know like we talked about it real brief, how you always provided a good service, you were fair, you were consistent, and obviously from having a mutual friend, I just kept going back. Obviously, you never try to upsell me on anything. You just told me like, hey, this is screwed up, this is wrong. You let me know what you want to do, and it was real easy. And you weren't one of those crazy salesmen.
I've always been blunt, put it that way. So I've always been honest when it came down to recommendations. So I would tell you, 100%, like, hey, you need this done, and the thing about it nowadays, this is a whole different subject, when it comes down to new service writers and stuff like that, So a lot of these guys are, they're taking recommendations for guys in the back, but the guys in the back are being hired as lube techs or guys with no experience. So they're looking at something and not knowing what it is. It looks bad to them, but by the time it gets to the service writer, the service writer doesn't make time to go to the back and actually and double check it, make sure it is actually needed. So I always went to the back of the shop. You would never catch me in the office or anything like that. I was always going back and forward. If I got an inspection for a customer, especially someone like you, I would want to go to the back and double check and make sure it's actually needed. Because at the end of the day, when a customer comes in and they see, they see you and then you're talking to them and you sell them something, it's like, what if what if it wasn't needed? But they're not gonna blame the mechanic for it. They're gonna blame you
Yeah,
for it
exactly.
because you're the one that told them. So I never wanted to be part of that conversation. So I was always the one in the back, double checking, make sure it was needed.
I mean, just like me, like I appreciated it. So, and you were always just blunt, I guess you can put
Yeah,
it. Just telling me,
honest.
yeah. And then obviously I would make the decision and financial decision of what we want to fork out. And sometimes I'd be like, you know what, not this week. I'll be back next week and we'll make it work. But
If you needed to sell the car, I'll tell you.
yeah,
It's like it's not worth it. Sell
no,
this thing.
no. I mean, and I guess that's kind of just being honest, being consistent, being blunt has kind of translated into those customers sticking with you because once you go corporate, it's not the same feel, which um, makes it worth it for you and your business. Um, can you tell us a little bit about like what you have in your trucks? Because right now you have what, two trucks?
Yes, technically we have
Well, three,
3 trucks. Yeah.
and then you run the Lightning too.
Run my wife's truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's her truck, but I use it to, whenever I want to get somewhere fast. Like this morning, we actually had a problem with equipment. So actually happened this weekend. One of our compressors blew out, and Scooby, we use it a lot. We know stuff's gonna break, but the place where I service the compressors at, it's in Laguna Beach. So I had to take her truck because it's electric, so we're able to go on the express lane. So I took her truck and I ended up keeping her all day. Got the compressor fixed, brought it back home, and now I got used tires in the back of it.
Yeah, you probably have like 15 tires in there.
15 tires back there right now.
Well, even what you have, what a Ford?
Oh, my little sedan, the Fusion.
Yeah, so you have a Ford Fusion. I've
Yeah.
seen you running that thing, and that thing's fully wrapped. So we'll have to get a picture of your whole fleet. But you load up tires in that thing too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Put the seats down and you're
put the
throwing tires
seats
in.
down, and I mean half my headliner is missing.
Yeah,
And I'll fit 35s in there, and I'll fit 6, 7, 8 tires or 8 wheels.
I mean, and you
Just
have everything wrapped too. So that's the
everything's
nice
wrapped.
part. Yeah. So then in your trucks, you have balancers in there
Yep.
because you don't just do commercial, but you do a lot of I mean, ideally residential. And then you got into the commercial side a little bit later on, right?
Yeah. So our first focus was residential. And because honestly, I've never done a tractor tire before, and I've never done a semi truck tire. So you were actually our test dummy in a way.
With the little white truck.
Yes.
Yeah, that was in
Yeah.
front of my house before
Yeah.
we had a yard.
So we started doing semi truck tires because of your trucks. That was the only reason. I think there's a video or not even a video because I didn't start recording. I was so uncomfortable like recording, but there's pictures of us doing your small truck at your house
Yeah.
with Isaac. So Isaac he was the one that started showing us.
That was your friend who
He
you
actually
brought to
worked-
teach you. No?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So he worked for Bud's, but at the Indiana store.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
And I mentioned to him that I was leaving. He was like, "Oh, I'll go help you." And so I think that was our first time doing semi truck tires.
I remember you bringing him on and then he was teaching you how to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're clueless. We had no idea.
I mean, it worked out. So
Oh yeah, I did.
the
And
wheels didn't fall off.
the wheel didn't fall off. Yeah, no, that's always a good thing. And from there we just kind of progressed, and we started offering that service, and now we're doing backhoes.
Things are massive.
Yeah, those things are massive. I hired him on to help us do backhoes, and unfortunately he got sick. He ended up catching, I think, leukemia, and he's better now. I think he's being released, I think, at the end of this year, but he wants to come work for us now. I was like, that'll help us out a lot because I've been actually on the fence of hiring more people, to kind of get me out of the work field and kind of concentrate on growing the business more. He's honestly going to be a great asset to the company if we're able to hire him.
That's always scary.
Yeah.
Bringing on more people
Yeah.
is scary. We just hired another driver. I think he starts tomorrow. But in my mind, I'm like, geez, that's another guy.
Yeah.
Um, and it's scary, but it's much needed if you're trying to get out of the driver's seat and, like for you, grow your business and get those commercial accounts. Um, so, and he's a good guy, and he works hard, and he knows what he's doing. So
He's
that's
a,
just an
he-
asset. You don't have to teach him.
don't have to teach him.
So
And that's the thing. It's like we're always kind of skeptical of hiring people because we don't know them. And just the way that we structured our business, like the foundation is customer service, quality.
yeah,
That's the thing about Alex, aka Fluff. Um, he we wouldn't be doing what we're doing if it wasn't for him. He's great with people. He knows what he's doing. He shows up. He gets shit done.
yeah.
And
Well, little backstory with Fluff. Back at Buds, so we ran the Max D trailers, and we were there constantly. Just the amount of nails that we would get in those tires was ridiculous. And I remember uh, how I met Alex was you told him, "Hey, fix the back tires." And what how did it work? Like they wouldn't get money on fixing tires, or how does that work for like a service technician? Like when you're fixing a flat versus installing a tire. Like I remember he was pissed off because you were making him fix my tire
at Buds.
at Buds.
Oh yeah, because I pulled him off another job to do your truck.
Okay.
So that's the perks about knowing somebody at the place like that was, especially since I ran the place, always told him what to do.
Yeah.
So I pulled him off another truck he was working on to go do your truck.
Because would they get paid like piecework? Is that like if you're doing brakes, you get paid for, or how did that work?
No.
Okay, gotcha.
It was just he was on something and he didn't want to drop what he was doing to
Yeah.
go do the job that I was telling him to do.
Well, he was pissed off, I remember, and I was like, oh, I gotta tip him good. And I was like, it's just one tire, Alex, and he was just like, yeah, whatever. It's out in the sun. So he took care of it. But now, obviously, Alex has been a huge part of your business, and uh, I'd say people see him more than they see you.
100%.
And I mean, he's always he comes here quite often, but I think between you and him and then Isaac, I mean, you guys definitely kept our business. I mean, it sounds cliche, but rolling technically from the get go. Just because obviously with those bigger tires, we didn't know anybody. Everything that we've done, we've learned on the fly, or just obviously you've put us in. You've connected us with a lot of really good people, but from the very first day that we started with the bigger roll off trucks, you've been a valuable asset to us. Not only have you done tires, you've done the brakes, you've done electrical, or you referred us to people that you know in the industry. You've given us a bunch of clients, and same thing. We just try to be fair and consistent, kind of like how you run your business. But along with going into the commercial side, what do you see as the most challenging part about doing commercial, whether it's semi trucks, roll off trucks, dump trucks, and super tens, whatever? Like, what's the most challenging part?
Honestly, it's the driving part. Getting to places. We're at the point where me and Alex are very skilled on what we do. We know what we're doing. And the hardest part is actually driving there, the scheduling, the logistics of it. Because the main reason why I decided to get another truck was because of the amount of work that we had. And there would be times where, I would commit to one tire in Rancho Cucamonga. But from there, I had 6 tires I had to do in Canyon Crest. So what I was doing is, sending Alex out for one tire, and then from there had to rush back over to do the six tires, and from there we had to go do a flat repair in Woodcrest. So it's like Alex is being stretched. He was being stretched really thin, and the way of me helping him was just showing up to the job site and making him work faster. Which is, I help him out, but the main reason why I decided to build that second truck is, I'll go out and I'll do that one tire that's in Rancho Cucamonga, and then he's able to go do the bigger jobs because he's a lot better. He's a lot better at doing a bigger job than I am. So that way the workflow goes faster, it goes smoother, and we're able to do more things in a day.
Yeah.
Because right now, on average, we're doing between what, like 5 to 7 jobs a day, on average. And throughout the day, like today, I missed out on 4 calls
Just
because,
because you had to go to the Laguna or
well, yeah, because the equipment issues that I had, my truck is down. So it's like I had to be in Laguna Beach, and in the morning, I decided to freaking leave my house at 8:30 in the morning, and I didn't get there till what, like 10 o'clock, something like that.
yeah.
And it kills 2 hours out of your day just driving there. Where if nothing against the equipment, it gets abused, but it sucks not being able to have that second truck to kind of let the pressure off the main truck.
Yeah. No, it's and because I mean, eventually you're gonna hire that other person, but once you do, then I'll you could keep the other truck running and you'll be fine.
That's
But
what, yeah.
so it's gonna work out. It's gonna play out. Now, I do think like talking about logistics. Logistics is a huge part of it, and for businesses like ours, or even just in the trucking industry, the trucks are on the road all day. So, how does working those early mornings, those super late nights? I mean, you've come at 2 o'clock in the morning to do tires, so the trucks can be up and running by 5 o'clock in the morning. So, how does that kind of play into your personal life, your family life, quality of life? Like,
Honestly, I let off on a lot of those late calls since we do such a good job with your trucks. You were really the only one that called us at 2 o'clock. You're the only person I would go do those tires for.
oh, I appreciate that.
Um, but I let off of that because one, I was taking calls at 10 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning. People would call like, "Hey, I have a blowout, I need a tire," whatever the case is, and a lot of the times we would give them like the after hours price, and they would say, "Oh no, that's too much." So one, that keeps me up at night. So as soon as I answer that phone call, I'm up. So that kind of kills my day because now I'm going to sleep at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Then I have to wake up at six six
Yeah.
thirty. So I stopped getting out of those calls. And the other main thing was I joined an emergency call, um, kind of like a franchise in a way. And I was getting calls from them every single night. I would take on about 4 calls between 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the morning, and that was a huge bust. I can't remember the name of that company right now, but so I would send them an invoice, So I'll never forget this call. So it was 2 o'clock in the morning. This guy had a blowout going towards Lake Elsinore, kind of borderline where Menifee is, and I took in the call. Like, okay, cool. So I went over there, and it took me 45 minutes to get there. The mileage going there, coming back, and I billed the company for, it was like $250. So it was $250. That included my service call. That included my travel time and the fuel. So when I submitted, I got a check for $50.
$50 for a
Fifty
service call.
dollars for the service call. And I was like, oh, there's something wrong, and around that time I was still taking those calls. So I think I did a total of it was like 10 or 15 calls with them, and it was all between 8 o'clock at night to 2 o'clock in the morning. So apparently I wasn't aware of it. It was me starting out. I joined the PO system. So the PO system was a set price for $50, no matter where it was, no matter what time of day it was. You're doing these calls for $50.
Wow.
Yeah. So I exited that so fast. I was like, I'm not waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning for $50.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, for $50, I'm not answering the phone.
Yeah.
Well, so that's the nice part about starting a business from scratch, that you are able to find out a lot of things of what works, what makes you money, what costs you money, and a lot of these lessons you wouldn't know unless you find out the hard way. And that's kind of how this whole heritage thing was built. Trial and error. We didn't know anybody in this industry. I mean, we started with a truck and a dump trailer, so we've gone through the motions, which obviously we have big plans for growth, but how does those plans for 2025, the rest of 2025, 2026, and so forth look for you? Like, what's on the horizon? What do you want to do with Riverside Mobile? What's your short and long term goals on that?
Well, I when I first started the business, I've always followed my owner Bud Lupino. He's always said, you're throwing shit at the wall so something sticks. And honestly, it's I've been doing that. Since I started the business, I've been throwing shit at the wall until something stick. And right now the our main thing is community. So we do a lot of events in Riverside. We do Temescal Canyon, we do Norco. I sponsor like some kids from like the rodeo. I have my banners like at uh, the Riverside, um, what is it, Riverside Caballeros. So we have our banner there for the softball team in Riverside. And our biggest one is CBU.
Yeah, that
So
one.
with CBU, I was flattered. When they called, he actually found me on Instagram. Because I've been doing a lot of work with Instagram, and he hit me up. I thought I was a spam. He sent me a message like, "Hey, your page looks great. We're looking for partners. Like for a tire dealer for to sponsor the athletic department." I thought it was a spam. I was like, Why are they calling me for it? Like, why are they reaching out? Like, I'm only one truck, you know." And then he texts me back again. He's like, "Hey, let's connect and talk." So I called him. It was like I called him like I can't. First thing I said, I can't afford it. It's like I don't know what they want or what they want me to sponsor, but whatever it was, like there's no way I could afford that. And they were just looking for like an honest company, and he started telling me that, they deal a lot with the community. It's the same thing that my values are is, my beliefs is like you invest in your community. And he kind of got me at that. And we ended up setting up a meeting, and we came up with a number, and now we're their tire sponsor for their athletic department. So we're doing their basketball games, their softball games, soccer games,
That's
their
huge.
volleyball. Like we're doing everything, and that was my biggest accomplishment. And that's honestly, it's with Riverside is it's so big, but it's a really like tight knit community.
Yeah, well, I tell everyone that like 81 square miles.
It's huge.
It's a huge city.
Yeah.
Um, but you still have that small town feel.
Yes.
And then, no, I agree. So and you've invited us to some of the local events, and we show up, but we want to do more of what you're doing. So we look at what you're doing, and that's what we want to do. Obviously, do a lot more nonprofits, and I mean, there's a lot of people that need dumpsters. Cleaning up these homes in terrible conditions. So we want to get involved in all that. So
A
I'm
lot
sure
of
we'll.
I think a lot of that it's educational,
Um,
and that's why um it's important. Like even with my business, it's important that you're educating like your followers and the people in the community to let them know, this is a thing that we do. And we just hired on let go let go
marketing.
marketing. And to help us out with our
So that's
social
why your
media.
reels are looking completely
Yeah.
different.
I honestly, it's
They
like,
were boring before.
yeah, they were boring, and they just bring a whole different like feel to it, more modern, and because I could do some of it, but it's like
You
I
don't
don't
have
know
the
what's, and
time.
I don't one, I don't have the time, and two, I don't know what's trending. Like I'm too busy, taking in calls, and so it's like a lot of that stuff. That's the reason why we ended up hiring them, is because of that, and they're doing a great job. And luckily one of the owners, she was a cheerleader for CBU, so we're trying to connect with the guy that helped me out at CBU, and with her to kind of do something together, kind of collaborate.
That
And I
works.
think that'll, once you post that like on your social media, it's gonna be big because people could relate. A lot of the people around this area went to CBU. They
Yeah.
went to Bethel. They went to King.
I didn't go to CBU. I had a lot of friends that went there, but I would get chased by their security often. So I didn't go there, but their breakfast is amazing. And my friends would give me their little pass so I can get food. So I didn't go to CBU, but I was there often. Um, Now, have you ever thought about this? Just because we're talking about community, and it's something that we just talked to our website developer about. We want to create a page, and it says, enter your information here, and tell us why you would be a good candidate to receive like some free dumpster service, whether it's a nonprofit or a local business or just a resident, and then we're gonna do a little drawing from there. Just go read their story and kind of pick one. Have you ever thought about doing like a free tire, like a quarterly, uh, 4 tires for a sedan, something like
Actually,
that?
we've done um, multiple like raffles and things like that. We actually did an event for Sandals Church. So we attend Sandals Church in Woodcrest, and they had an event there with the sheriffs. We ended up doing a raffle with them. It's we're paying for the tires or whatever it is, and we did one also in Temescal Canyon. We were doing raffles, and I kind of do want to get more into like the charity stuff eventually. So I see people online like they're donating cars. So I think it was like What's Up Riverside, or
Yeah, one of
Mark
the.
from Riverside or
Okay,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. And I had reached out to them about kind of doing a collab, but I never got a response from them.
Well, I'll do a collab with you. I'll go
Well,
halfers.
let's go. You buy the car and I'll get the
Yeah,
tires.
that's it. You keep it rolling, and I'll buy the car.
Yeah. Yeah. You buy the car and I'll buy the tires. Yeah, no, like I'm good with that, because I love helping people out. And that's the thing, it's like with me, I've always loved helping people. I don't know, so it's something about that makes me feel good. And yeah, it takes from our business, but at the same time, it's you're giving back because people aren't as fortunate. And the last set of tires that I gave out for that sandals event, the when I called her, told her she was a winner, she started crying. Started crying because her tires were so bad that she was hoping she got them, and it made me feel good. You go there, and she's super
Put new
thankful,
tires.
and
Yeah.
I'm glad she won that raffle. And Chad Bianco, actually, he's the one that pulled that ticket. He happened to be there at that event.
So probably our next governor.
Yeah, our next
I
governor.
would say so. Now, if you can give advice to anyone that's trying to join or not join, but just business, it doesn't have to be tires or anything like that. What advice would you give somebody that's looking to start a business?
One, you have to come up with a plan, have a dream, have kind of a vision of what you want to do, and the next big step is gonna be you're throwing shit at the wall
So something
till
sticks.
something sticks, because that's what I've been doing. And I've tried so much different things, and it's been good and bad because sometimes it works too well, and you're kind of, you're trying to commit to everything. You're trying to commit to your clients that are coming in from Google. My I had a lot of business from social media. So it's like it gets down to the point where you have your regulars that are calling you. Now you have your Google people that are calling you, and then you have your social media people that are calling you. And I don't have 5 to 10 trucks running, so it's just me and Alex.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you do too much, you can't do everything, and you start, upsetting people.
I
You
do think though, like you said, obviously, as far as advice, just throw shit at the wall and see
throw
what
shit at the
sticks.
wall, see what sticks, and stick to it.
Yeah, and then from I think as far as a service based business, um, like yours, um, where you have a good following on social media, but a lot of people are looking for that information, that they want that confidence, they want to be able to relate to you, and I think that's where the marketing aspect ties into what you're doing, because it does humanize you. You're
Yeah,
not just a machine.
yeah,
And I think that's where marketing is huge, especially for your business.
yeah.
Like, I think for the trash business, like, we don't really get clients from social media. When we post on social media, it's honestly, it's fluff, because our clients, our contractors, our warehouses, our government contracts, they're not scrolling my Instagram. So I always say it's fluff. But I think for somebody like you, or a plumber, an electrician, things like that,
Heating and air conditioning,
it's
and
huge.
it's huge because I think, and this is the reason why why we hired Amanda and Maria was people are people our age. So our biggest clientele is between 28 and like 40 years old, and they always look at your social media. So that's what makes you creditable. So if you talk to somebody, or if you're on Google or whatever it is, when people look at that, the first thing they look at is your social media to make you creditable of what you're doing. So if like someone's searching for tires on Instagram, they're gonna look at our reels, and they're gonna look at all our most recent stuff, and then they start going back to the past.
Yeah.
And because honestly, when I'm looking at stuff now, that's what I look at. If I want a good knife, like to cut steak, I'm on fucking Instagram.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think with the last person we hired, I took their name and I right away went on LinkedIn. I went on
yeah,
Instagram, on Facebook.
yeah,
When we talk to you, when we interview you, you're gonna give us a certain like image you want us
yeah.
to kind of think of you as, but Instagram, that
It's real.
it says a lot of stuff. So
It's real.
no, I mean that's good though. At least you're investing in your business, your future, and now you have marketing on your side.
Yeah.
So I mean, well, let's start wrapping this one up. I mean, any other anything else you want to put out there?
No, I mean it's been a big roller coaster for us. We started out so new, and we grew so fast, and we appreciate everything, from the community, and all our followers, and all our clients, and all the recommendations. Like, we're really trying to kind of have like that. What we used to have at Buds was like that home shop feel, so we're personable.
Yeah,
I just jumping off subject, but like whenever I get clients, I ask them what they do, or what their kids play in, so I'll sponsor their baseball team, or and stuff like that. Like, I want to be able to do that for Riverside.
and you have a good memory. You remember your clients
Yes,
and what they told you last time.
scarily. Yes,
So that alone
yeah.
goes a long way.
Yeah, I'll remember their soccer games. Like, they'll
Yeah,
tell me like, "Oh, my kid had a soccer game this time." Like, "Oh, we had a trip here." Like,
yeah,
"Oh, we had a trip there." Like, "Oh, I was getting married this time." And when I
and
talk to them, I remember, and they're like, "How the hell did
oh
you
yeah,
remember that?"
it's been 6 months since I've been here.
Yeah,
So another good thing about your business, well, I don't know if it's a good thing, but um, not everyone's going to be your client, and we know that. Some people don't find or see the value in having a mobile service come to their job site, their place of work. They don't find the value in paying that extra service fee for the comfort and convenience. Now, I'll say from our standpoint, we're all just so busy these days. So we understand that not everyone's your client, and some people would rather go sit at a shop for an hour and a half, 2 hours while they get their tires rotated. Great. Now, if they find the value in paying a small service fee, then they should reach out to you, and we'll put all your contact information and socials. But for us, it's been night and day what you've been able to not just do for my personal cars, but for the business. You keep this whole little monster that we have here rolling. Um, like obviously, we've talked about it before. We have the 5 roll-off trucks. We have the dually, the 2500, the Explorer, the Raptor, and then obviously our employee cars. But you take care of all that, keep them rolling. So it means the world to us. We appreciate it. It saves me headaches and a bunch of time instead of having to go out and find somebody or go sit somewhere, which I absolutely hate. So I can't thank you enough. And you've introduced us some really good people, good clients, and obviously referrals are um, much appreciated, and we're truly thankful for that. So. All right, guys, if you guys like what you saw here, let us know. Click that little thumbs up, subscribe. Let us know what you're thinking about all this. Give us some topics to talk about, and we'll throw some videos out there. Like I said, this is still new to us. We don't know what we're doing, but we're throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks.
That's right.
And yeah, on to the next one. We'll see you guys.